My name is Tarmack, and this is your game industry news wrap-up for the week of November 26, 2016. The No Man's Sky subreddit had to take down its number of days since Hello Games last said anything thread because in a move that would have scared the groundhog into 6 more weeks of winter, they actually made a blog post, or at least spring is closer to when anyone expected Hello Games to say anything. No Man's Sky is going to get what they called a foundation update, which couldn't have been a more poorly chosen name for a title whose foundation is already on pretty shaky ground. The blog post goes on to say that immediately after release, they spent 6 weeks on 7 patches the game got, and in the 9 weeks since then, they've been working on putting together a base building system. Because that's what everyone wanted in a game specifically about exploring an infinite universe, a reason to stay in one place. Developer PlayDead, who are responsible for the games Limbo and Inside, published patch notes for Inside that contained a mere 6 words, minor fixes, and removed Denuvo anti-tamper. The game recently released on GOG, so removing Denuvo makes a certain degree of sense at this point, as most game sales in need of piracy protection happen within the first few weeks. Still, as I'm not a fan of Denuvo because of its enforcement of obsolescence when servers are no longer profitable, I'm kinda cool with this change. Ubisoft is pretty happy with a recent patch for The Division, and Blondel, the VP of Live Operations, has claimed that patch 1.4 was so successful that they are now back to launch numbers. She didn't clarify whether this was console, PC, or both, but it's worth noting that Steam DB numbers do certainly show an increase, but nowhere near launch numbers. This reminds me of the time Ubisoft said that they experience a 93% piracy rate, despite the fact that if this was true, then the game market would need to statistically be substantially bigger than it is. Granted, statistics is a bit dull, but it has its moments. If you got that, give yourself a cookie. Anne also said that they learned a great deal from providing a significant amount of free DLC for Rainbow Six Siege. Ubisoft is currently planning to support their multiplayer games for between 5 and 10 years, and as a result must of course be very cautious of upsetting customers with bad monetization. Specifically, quote, "No more DLC that you will have to buy if you want to have the full experience," end quote. She went into a fair bit of detail about what kinds of DLC is okay and what kinds aren't, but I gotta be honest, my biggest takeaway is the planned support horizon of 5 to 10 years for multiplayer games. It's good for gamers to know this, but given that all Ubisoft titles have multiplayer of some kind now, it's also very bad for gamers who are buying a temporary product. Blizzard Entertainment put up a job posting for 2 lead software engineers with experience working on first-person titles, but they were both specifically for an unannounced game. I'm at the point where I'm convinced that Blizzard does this on purpose just to spin up the hype. That said, there are a few first-person titles that I can think of which would be really neat. StarCraft Ghost was pretty fun on the E3 show floor in 2004. Uncancel it. An Overwatch single-player campaign would be great. Or, how about a first-person month-long event in Diablo 3 with retro graphics filters to make everything look like Wolfenstein and have those sweet, sweet ad-lib gold sound effects? This has been your game industry news wrap-up for the week of November 26, 2016. It was a bit of a short one, but it was a slow week for news. Click down in the description for a link to the Discord server to come and chat with the community. My name is Tarmack. Thanks for watching.